Hey everybody, welcome to the Patty G Show. I'm your host, Patty G. We are here with Dudley DeBosier. We've got a great crew of guys here. We've got some excellent bourbon brought to you by Baton Rouge Bourbon Society, some barrel picks I brought over for us to enjoy. We're recording this at their location, and I'm really excited to learn about their history, their heritage, kind of how they formed Dudley DeBosier, how they got to where they are today, and kind of where they're going, some forward looking, as well as some lessons learned along the way. But before we get into that, big thank you to our wonderful sponsors, Government Taco and Falai Real Estate. Be sure to stay to the end and hear a little bit more about them. And also, this is going to be the season finale of the Patty G Show for 2021. We're going to hang our hat up for the next few months, and I'm really excited to have them on the show for that. And if y'all have been following along, y'all know why that is. I've got a kid coming in about 4 or 5 weeks, and so I'm kind of taking some time off to get right with the family, make sure everything's in order. But 2022, we're going to hit y'all very strong, and we're also going to be doing some catch-ups with past guests throughout my time while I'm at home via Zoom, and some lower end stuff, but still very fun to catch up with past guests upcoming. But without further ado, we're here with Dudley DeBosier and their team. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you for having us. This is awesome.
I'm excited to learn about y'all's story and hear about how y'all got to where y'all are, and hopefully the bourbon is mediocre at best.
It is fantastic. I'm a bourbon fan, and thank you.
Absolutely.
For bringing some good stuff.
Let me make sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, test it out. Make sure it tastes up to your standards.
Absolutely.
First sip of the day.
Yeah. So first, got to start somewhere.
That's it. After 5 o'clock, right? We're just getting started.
Right.
So how did y'all kind of get here to where we're sitting at in front? I guess we'll start with kind of James and work our way on down. What's your story, man? What kind of a kid were you?
Oh, going that far back. Dang. Kid? Well, let's see. I spent some time in Baton Rouge till I was 2.5, and then I moved to New Orleans. My mom was a teacher, my dad an engineer, and I don't know what kind of kid was I. Not a bad kid. As a teacher's kid, we were very studious. They took education very serious, which I have a feeling when you talk to all of us, you'll find that's a pretty reoccurring theme, and the fact that we all grew up with parents that were educators. And I think when you look at us, we didn't grow up with a lot of money. We didn't have a lot, but we were taught family values and taught the importance of education. And now that I practice my 3 best friends, or 2 best friends, the 3 of us, it's pretty cool that those values throughout the 3 of us, because of our parents, were pretty important to us. From there, I moved to Houma, and very different to live from New Orleans to Houma. It's a little bit of a culture shock, but at 5th grade, culture, I don't know what culture means, and but Houma was a lot more of a town with rather than sports, the typical sports I was playing, which is swimming and all that, a lot more hunting and fishing and thing going on. So,
right, the sports were like shrimp trawling.
That's great.
Running a trot line across the canal, stuff like that.
That's it. Houma's interesting and different. I love my time. Time there. It's a great place. If I was raising a family, it'd be a good place to raise a family. So
I love it. Keep moving down.
Steve DeBosier, born and raised right here in Baton Rouge. My mother taught at St. Aloysius for 40 years. She's still alive. Everybody knows her. It took me a whole lot of advertising to be on TV for a whole long time before people would have found me to be who I am and not Dot's son. So I'm excited about that. But she's cool. And as James pointed out, we're all from educators. My dad was an engineer as well. And my mother taught forever and taught us the values. Now, by confession, if my mother watched this and I said something as bold as I was a good kid, it would not go over well, because I was the youngest of 7, and so I created a fair amount of problems growing up. But I figured that eventually you had to get it straight. So went to Catholic High here in Baton Rouge and went to LSU and enjoyed it. Went to LSU Law School and can't get out of this town. I love it. It's a great place.
Absolutely. I think I can kind of relate with you. I'm 4th of 5, so not quite 7 of 7. But it's still going in with that notion of, oh yeah, you're so-and-so's younger sibling, or you're so-and-so's kid. Like, no, I'm myself.
Oh, yeah.
I gotta make a name for myself. Yeah. Come on now.
Oh, yeah.
Patty G Show.
That's it. Know me as Patty G. You can call me that. What is it for? Anything but late for dinner, right?
Yeah. No, it's true. I mean, I really was Dot's son forever. And you go everywhere and say, I tell them my name, and they're like, oh, are you Dot's son? I'm like, yeah, I'm Dot's son.
You're not wrong in the statement, but
Funny you say that. My mom was a teacher and principal, and the mall that we had was the only mall around in Houma at the time. I remember trying to go from store to store to buy shoes, and you couldn't make it from store to store without somebody knowing your mom and chatting about their kids and what's going on in the community. And I know that's consistent throughout all of us, man. We had some great moms, so blessed.
Absolutely.
we'll keep moving down. Come on.
My story is a little bit different. I'm born in Southern California, but then was raised in Honolulu, Hawaii. I played a lot of tennis growing up. Competitive tennis, was a nationally ranked junior, got a scholarship to go to, it's called IMG now. It used to be called Voluntaries, and went there for 10th, 11th, 12th grade, and then got offered a scholarship to play at LSU. Came to LSU, played tennis for 4 years, had a great experience, loved being a Tiger, and took a year, taught tennis, was a tennis pro, and then decided I wanted to go back to school, went to law school, and then started my legal career. I think we're all the first attorneys in our family, right? I mean, we're all.
Now, were your parents also a teacher and engineer?
No,
there's a pattern here. I'm just wondering. Teachers and engineers, do they produce attorneys? Is that how it works?
My parents were both entrepreneurs, and
Okay.
My mom was more in the public relations field. My dad was more in the entertainment industry in Hawaii, and both just kind of, entrepreneurs, make their own way. And that definitely set the tone for how I'm wired. But so I mean, I was the first attorney. Didn't really know much about what being an attorney was when I was in law school, but figured it out along the way.
I love that.
I want to be a lawyer, and my dad said no. We're all
What else you
engineers.
got?
We're all engineers.
That's what
You'll
we
be
do
an
here.
engineer. I'm like, whatever.
Wow. So y'all kind of went against the grain then, all three of y'all. I mean, what drove you to want to be a lawyer? Or what's the technical term? Attorney, lawyer? What's the right term?
Well, we use them both interchangeably.
Okay.
I think my experience with, there was an attorney that when I was growing up, and each summer when I wanted to go play tennis tournaments, we called it the mainland. If you're from Hawaii and you go to California or anywhere in the continental U.S., it's called the mainland. And I would raise money to travel each summer. So I would go play with people I played with at the club, doctors, attorneys, et cetera. I would say, hey, look, I'm trying to raise X amount of dollars to go play tournaments this summer. Would you help me out? There's a guy that actually would foot the whole bill. He's just like, all right, where you got to go? You're doing good. I see what you're doing. He also funded a lot of other kids that did this. And he was an attorney. He was a plaintiff's attorney. And I was like, that's kind of cool. And he, and that was pretty interesting. When I got out of school, I'm like, I like to read, I like to write. I think this might be my thing. Went to law school. I actually enjoyed law school. Got out, worked for a plaintiff's firm, and like, okay, this is what I want to do. That's my story.
Yeah, I wanted to be a lawyer from the beginning. I enjoyed it. I did debate in high school, and
Okay.
I mean,
Trying to find
that's all
the
I wanted to
connection. Like, how does a kid want to say, I want to be an attorney or a lawyer from the
it's
beginning?
just being in the courtroom. What's interesting about this is that if you ever dealt with lawyers, the vast majority of lawyers are terrified of public speaking. The vast majority of the public is terrified of public speaking. And so when you go to law school, there's a lot of people in there that have zero desire to be in the court. They don't want, and you would think that'd be the opposite, but I'm dyslexic. So I have no desire to sit and read all day. Chad does all the reading. Chad takes notes for me. I take his notes and I go through his notes, but I'd rather be standing up speaking than anywhere behind a book ever.
Chad, did you debate?
Yes, I did. Actually, when I was in law school, I actually like public speaking.
Yeah.
I enjoy being in front of people. But also I like reading.
Patrick, you debated too, didn't you?
I did debate. I was about to say, James, if you debated as well?
I did.
all
I'm
four
sitting
of
here
us
saying
debated. Okay.
that was a common theme. The one I didn't know for sure whether Chad debated. I debated as a kid, which piqued my interest. Much like Chad, I interacted with some people that had some money and some wonderful lifestyles, but they also helped people. And I really looked at them and admired them and appreciated them. And my mom died in a car wreck with a drunk driver of an 18-wheeler. And so between the three, it kind of galvanized where I wanted to go, which is not only to be the attorney to debate, but also to help people, but also to help those that that are underprivileged, that need help, that are in a real situation. I know the situation my dad was in and the family taking care of me, but also, I mean, it was tough on him. And looking at that situation back on it, when you talk about what field that I want to go into, it made it easy for me to make that decision.
Right. Yeah, I know I did debate, and it pushed me the opposite direction. I'm like, I don't want to be an attorney. I love debate. I love speaking, I love public speaking and all that. But I was homeschooled. So I was in, fake school or whatever, not the real school debating, but it still opened your eyes to what that courtroom could feel like, what that room of interrogation could feel like. It was really incredible. Now, within all those similarities, I've yet to hear kind of how y'all connected to create Dudley DeBosier. I mean, you're from Hawaii and California, you're from Homa, you're from the Baton Rouge area. So how did y'all end up linking arms? Was it law school? Was it something else? How did y'all get here to be the trio y'all are?
Well, look, it's a really interesting story with a lot of background.
I don't know how long you have, but I do think it's fair that James can start this story because he's the one that started at the firm before Chad and I were there.
I got out of
We all work together.
Yeah.
We all worked together for a firm, and the firm had some issues and is about to blow up. And we had a choice to go start our own practices or band together and start a new firm. We chose to start a new firm. Steve and James, you guys knew each other pretty well. They adopted me.
We did.
We were at the firm together, and I can tell you that Steve and I were the two people that were litigating all the cases, and I was learning so much from Steve. We were feeding off each other and
learning from each other, I should say.
We were, thoroughly enjoying that, and we were rookie lawyers. But one of the things I've always appreciated about Steve is he always wanted to be better at his craft, and oh my gosh, man, he worked hard to study then to be better and to feed off of that to want to be better. Like he was, I hope I helped him, but he certainly helped me go, man, this isn't just about turning over cases. This is about, and it's not even just about helping people, because at that time it was a lot about helping people, but it became about how do you perfect your craft and how do you get great at what you do. And Steve inspired me to do that. Then Chad kind of came along. Chad a little different in the sense that not from a litigation standpoint, but oh my gosh, Chad's ability to organize and put things in place and to manage to make things easier for everybody else. And talk about somebody that loved perfecting his craft. Chad brought to the table the tools for us that helped us elevate our firm into one of the top litigation firms. And I'd say the state, but we're called in throughout the country to try cases for people, a lot because of Chad's organization and the work we do, not only learning, but now teaching. And it's kind of very cool to be practicing with two people that work so hard to be better at what they do and be the best they can do, both in law, but in a lot of ways. So
James is giving us a lot of credit, but the truth is that James didn't have to work as hard as me because he was just naturally talented. So he could just laugh at me while I busted my ass. All right, I got you, brother. But he was just good at it. So it was a lot of fun working together.
It's been a fun wild ride. It's been awesome. It's been a crazy wild ride.
Yeah, about what was it? 12 years ago.
12 years ago.
12 years ago, we purchased another firm, and I can tell you that the scared as could be, we took on more debt than I can imagine at that time, and that was a bonding experience. I can tell you that. But
oh yeah, we did find out something early on. Though. We found out that there is a number where you borrow from the bank, where the bank has control of you, and then there's a number where you owe so much and you got control over the bank. They
just want you to make some type of payment.
Yeah, please just show up. Please, help us out. We were there. We were in over our heads.
Y'all been in both courts.
Oh yeah. So it's.
I'm hoping Tina Neem's in watching. Our lender, our good friend lender.
Yeah, it was some scary times there in the beginning. Very scary times.
Yeah, a wild ride, but no, it's crazy to think where we are now, and it's been awesome.
Yeah, I mean, with any entrepreneur starting from scratch, essentially. I mean, y'all had a firm, y'all had the experience, but it was, how do we run this business thing? What is it like running a business? I mean, you came from entrepreneurs, but it's a matter of how do we all three come together, write an operating agreement that we can agree on, and then push forward as business owners. I mean, was that scary, taking that leap?
We had a kickstart in the sense that we we started with clients. We started with a Chad who knew how to organize and run a practice. He was actually brought in to do that. And we started with two guys that actually knew how to try cases. So we had an easier start than some, other than we had some setbacks that we had to deal with that weren't our fault at the time.
Yeah, we went and met with this guy, and I won't name drop who he is, but he's just a really smart guy. Ran a bunch of businesses, and we took over the business, and we had 60 employees, something like that.
Oh, when we took over, it was like 15 or 20.
No, total employees. Yeah, total. No. And this guy's like, just go through everybody on your that you work with. We had worked with, and now we were the bosses, and they said, go figure out whoever has a bad attitude, man, get rid of them. So what if they're doing a great job? No, if they got a bad attitude, you got to get rid of them. We're like, crap. So we sat in a bar in Nashville, and we took the list of employees, and we had 22.
Well, no, I mean, yeah, exactly. He goes, go through
22 out of 60?
Yes. Well, they weren't.
Wow.
We didn't hire them. I mean, they came.
You inherited them.
Yes.
Gotcha.
No, he said he challenged us. He goes, look at the list, and everything you know about everyone on this list, which ones would you enthusiastically rehire? Yeah,
it wasn't a determination of who wasn't a good worker. It was who would you not enthusiastically rehire, which is a totally different
If
ball.
you hesitate, that's not enthusiastic.
Right. but look, to the credit, out of 60 people, to have 40 people that you know behind the scenes, you're not the boss that they're showing off for, because we didn't know them as bosses at the time. Mm-hmm. To have 40 people that you would enthusiastically rehire, when you look at it that way, that's a great number as opposed to 20 people you don't want. So when Steve put it that way, I tell you, we worked with some great people. It was awesome.
Well, early on to set the tone, saying, look, your culture is more important. It's so important. I mean, is everyone rowing in the same direction? Do they believe in the same things? Is client service, is being great at what you do, is looking after one another, is giving back to the community? Are all these things part of their why they do what they do? And if it's not, then you're gonna have trouble building a great place to work, regardless of the industry. And that was something that hit home early on that became the foundation of our firm.
We had 3 or 4 of what I would say were our absolute best workers, in the sense that, well, I don't know to define workers, but 3 or 4 people that would put out great work. Some of the best workers we had. But at the same time, when we sat down, and you didn't just, if it wasn't just who cranks out work, if it's who cares about the people around them, who's nice, who cares about the clients, who cares about the community. And when you start talking about building a foundation of people that you want to work with, that you want to wake up every day and go to work with, it was amazing that 4 or 5 people that were money producers, we all 3 knew. We had our list separate, right? We didn't show them. And I felt weird putting these people on the list. I'm like, man, they're going to make fun of me because they're making money. They'll make us money, right? But they didn't fit the rest of the boxes, and all 3 of us put them. And I was like,
the same people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know who's not, who's not going in the same direction. And it's an exercise I would encourage every business to do.
Oh man, if anybody's watching this, you want to learn one thing we learned: figure out what your core values are and hire based on those core values, fire based on those core values, promote based on those core values,
celebrate
everything that they're doing. The people that are doing great, pay them, and the people that the ones that are doing a good job, but then they walk to the water cooler and bitch and complain about everybody and suck the life out of everybody. You gotta let them go, and that was the hardest step for us to say. We're going to keep the people that are doing a great job and that love each other and that care about the community and care about our clients. And the ones that don't, we just got to let them go.
But it's not about them, because once they're gone, the positive people that feed off each other, that help the clients, they can't wait to step up to do the job of the next person, as opposed to being upset about what happens next to them. It creates a great work environment. I was pretty proud. Multiple times we've got picked as one of the best places to work in Baton Rouge. And I think it's because of the system and who we hire now.
Yeah, in the early years, hiring was tough. Like, it was a challenge to say, hey, look, here's what we're doing, and you want to come on board, and let us tell you why we're a great place to work. And it was a battle. There was a point after which it tipped, where now we got like a waiting list, or I mean, just people, hey, look, just put me on your list. Next time you hire somebody for this position, that position, just give me a holler. And a lot of that had to do with building that culture where people talk about, hey, I enjoy going to work here. I enjoy doing what I do here. And it just creates a vibe. And it's one of those things that once it's in place, you're like, well, that's easy. But it took work to get there.
It's work to get there.
Yeah,
if we need to hire somebody, we had to put a blind ad so that people didn't know where they were coming to work.
Yeah, in the first year, yeah.
It was just attorney needed or lawyer needed or
whatever.
Whatever the position was. There's no company name. Call us, come see us, and we'll say who we are.
And
Yes.
in this environment now, where finding good people is hard in this environment, but we hardly advertise for spots. I mean, people want to come work here, and that makes us as owners proud. That's when you really feel like you've accomplished something. People are like, I want to come work with you guys.
No, because gosh, we got, like we were talking about this the other day. I mean, it's funny. We there's events like we do a big lunch for Thanksgiving or a Christmas dinner thing, or Christmas party, and you look around the room at every person that you get to work with and go, holy cow, holy cow. We got some good people.
Yeah.
Like good people get to work with. So
When we started, we talked about this. If I had a friend refer and come to the office, I might have been worried about what attorney it went to. Like, oh, not Joe. There's no Joe, but I mean,
Right.
But because we inherited some people, but now I can say with confidence, if somebody, a friend of mine comes here, it won't matter who they get assigned to, because whoever they get assigned to is going to care. And we have a team concept where even if the case isn't right for that person, whether it's their knowledge level, whether they've been here long enough, the case moves along to the person in a team concept to make sure that it gets in the hands of the right attorney to handle that case. And so you'll never work a case here that's above your level. You've been trained, even if you're in the beginning, you won't work a case on your own until you're ready to work a smaller case. And it's taken a long time and hard work to get there with the team concept of if you come here, you're going to get a fantastic attorney that's ripe to work your case. In addition to that, you've got a whole team behind you that can't wait to jump on it no matter what, whether it's teaching and working together on it to make a small case the best it can be, or the biggest cases, not just in the state, but the country. Our team gets called in, which we're pretty fired up about.
And I think that is like the key to success right there, right? Y'all knew you had to get rid of 20 people to get your 40 core people. And establishing that culture early on, I'm sure, has led to the success that y'all are today. Because the fact that y'all were able to look at it and say, it's not about the dollars that these 5 or 6 people bring in. It's more about what they do to the whole company and how they impact it, and then allowing those other people to have the freedom and ability to say, I'm comfortable now rising up. I'm comfortable pushing forward more work, whereas these top earners may have just been, going after it and not caring who they stepped on along the way. It's now everybody's more of a family. And I think that is important not only in the field y'all are in, but any business. Any entrepreneur needs to take a close look around. Who are your core employees? Who are all of your employees? And are they all going in the same direction, regardless of the monetary value they bring into the company?
That's right.
It's about the culture.
Yeah.
It is the culture is for us the number one thing. Drives everything else.
Well, what is the movie where the two towns have a common enemy and they say, okay, let's get some people together and we're gonna go fight. One town brings 4,000, another one brings 300, and they're like, dude, you only brought 300. And you're like, well, you brought 4,000 farmers with pitchforks. I brought 300 warriors. Like, we got a crew, and oh my gosh, we got some crazy, I'll say badass people that just they're so good at what they do. They care about the client. I mean, we got a group that it just, like, they're just killers. They're just go out there and get after it and go to bat for our clients at a level that is just, it's humbling to be associated with them.
Yes, that's the coolest part.
Yeah.
To be comfortable with so many people doing such great stuff and just knowing it.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine in Florida has a real big business there. And his story is, if I'm walking down the hall and I got to avoid somebody's door because they might ask me to go to lunch, I need to get rid of that person.
Especially lunch.
If I can't go to lunch with this person, and so for us, we're spread thin because we have 200 something employees and team members, and so we can't go to lunch with everybody all the time, but we try our best to make sure we spread around to let everybody know that we care about them, love them, and it's important, But if you're walking by going, oh, We sneak out the back door and dive in a bush to avoid this person. That's not good. We want to have a firm with people that love each other and care about each other and support each other.
Yeah, and especially within the community that we're in within Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Every guest, we've had 100+ guests on the show, and every time I ask them the question, y'all will get asked at the end of the show is, what do you love about Baton Rouge? They also always say the people. And so having
100%.
people-focused company is like, how are you successful in Baton Rouge? People-focused. Mm-hmm. Whether it's client-facing or client inward within the staff, you got to have people come first. And then whatever the dollars come in, that's what they come in.
That's right.
You know what's interesting is that it just hit me. We're all educators, right? Or we came from families of educators, and educate was important. I think one of the things that I got from Chad is I've never seen anybody that reads more books. That Steve learns, but he learns in a different way. He's always seeking knowledge. Chad reads more books than anybody I know. You can get into it later, but we bought an ad agency in Nashville, and the guy that owned it before we bought it was a dear friend of ours, Arnie. But Arnie started a thing called the Better Book Club, and it's a club where, as a company, you pay people to read, and we do that, and we're excited about paying people to read. But not just that. I guess it doesn't matter where you are in our office. One of the things that we want out of the people that work for us is to better themselves, whether it's reading, going to classes. We support that it's what we want. It's what we expect from somebody to work here. It's not just to get your job done, but to want to be better. Chad, you had a saying all the time about whether you'd rather keep somebody or get rid of somebody with learning. I was going to say it, but I'm going to get it wrong. But it's true.
We always talk about, like, we invest a lot in making our team better and training and continuing education.
And even if they're going to do it and go someplace else.
Right.
Even if we're going to train them to be smart and great at their job and go someplace else.
And someone goes,
that's what I told myself. Hang on a second,
asked.
Chad, is this a good idea to train people to leave us?
I go, it's better to, he goes, what happens if we train them and then they leave? I said, what happens if we don't and they stay?
That's a fact.
Took that one comment and we said, oh yeah, shit.
Okay.
Chad's pretty smart sometimes.
No, 100%. Exactly. If you keep somebody and they have no idea how to do their job, but you're like, oh, they're not going to leave us.
That's right.
You're not getting the best out of them.
That's right.
But we can give multiple examples of people that we've helped get along and leave, and now have either come back or wanted to come back, and we're trying to find a position for them. And those
they
are
go
people
on and
you
do some
want.
great things, and we work with them. And there's just like we think that, pursue excellence, be great at what you do, and it's going to work out.
Oh, yeah. 100%. And so the producer, Cody, said he grew up with y'all as the people on the bus, the guys on the bus. Mm-hmm. And James, you just mentioned
inside the bus, side of the bus. We
around the bus, driving the bus.
Yeah,
Did you see the bus that got in a wreck and ran into the house? Right, it was right down the street a couple years ago.
Y'all can't see Cody, but he's got this great mustache with the handlebars over there.
He gets to hide behind the cameras.
I don't know how old he is, but he looks about 30 years old, and it sure made us feel old when he said, "We grew up with y'all on the bus. We've only been on the buses for 6 or 7 years."
Just turned 26. A couple more years for y'all.
So, but on that, in Baton Rouge, you always hear about billboard lawyers, bus lawyers, bench lawyers, and James, you were mentioning how y'all acquired a firm out in Nashville. Can we go into that about the marketing tactics used within the firm?
Well, I think the interesting thing is that, New Orleans is possibly ground zero for advertising attorneys, in the sense that, I think it's Arizona versus Bates, which is the Supreme Court case that came out and said, hey, look, it's okay for attorneys to advertise. And that was in the 1980s. And at that time, you had a couple cities where attorneys went full blast, and Morris Bart was one of them out of New Orleans. And so Louisiana kind of was, I'd say, early adopter in terms of advertising. And now that's just what you do as an attorney to build your practice. And so we've gone down that path, and it's been a wild ride, because when we started, it was much simpler. It was, okay, go do Yellow Pages, do some
Yellow
TV.
Pages?
Yeah.
Do you remember Yellow Pages?
No, you don't.
He's like, yeah, he's using it as a doorstop.
You gotta prop your monitor up on something,
I think I use those as fire starters.
Yeah.
Rip pages out of them, ball them up. We're not. It was not
back
that
in
good.
the day, and then maybe try this internet thing, and so now it's crazy more complex, and everyone's doing it. There's not doctors, attorneys, other professional services,
hospitals,
accountants. That's just the way of the world, right? And it's been a wild journey, and we've always tried to stay innovative and ahead of the curve. And in 2018, we purchased an advertising agency that does branding for about 40 or 45 law firms across the country. And that's been a cool thing. I mean, a lot of things that we've developed here at Dudley DeBosier. Well, I've been on maybe 4 or 5 different podcasts in the past month, and they use our terminology. They use our systems and processes. They use our lingo, and the impact that we've been able to have on not just our firm, but other firms that do what we do that's been fun.
Oh, it's been, yeah. We'll have those 45 firms in Nashville Thursday, and we'll talk to them, and we'll spread the knowledge. We learn from them, they learn from us, and it's been a great success for us. We never bought an ad agency for the purpose of making money. We bought it because we wanted to protect what we had. We enjoyed our ad agency, and we said, let's get involved in this, and it's turned out to be fantastic. We got some incredible people busting their butt up in Nashville and does some amazing things, and we're just a beneficiary of it.
Patrick, you may not know it, and I've kind of alluded to it. Steve's an unbelievable trial attorney, but what Chad does is Chad runs a law firm. He was brought in to do systems and processes. He's unbelievably computer literate, not illiterate, but literate. but
Tech savvy.
That's kind of where he started, and he may even tell you the story of where he went to start even as a law clerk, and he was an overachiever back then on organization skills. But he's been now brought into hundreds and hundreds of law firms throughout the country to analyze them, to tell them what they can do better, what they can't do better. He's also been hired by the software companies to come in and create programs on efficiencies and what we can do better. He's made Steve and I's life way easier, and every attorney we had, not just easier, but made it more efficient. He is truly cutting edge technology in the law firm of how to run a firm, and not in the sense that, you get nervous of, I don't want somebody telling me the cookie cutter way to handle a case, and you don't. But there are certain standards that need to be done in order to have a case to be a true artist. You can't show up being an artist if you don't get all the paint laid out and everything done right. There's nobody in the country that's more cutting edge to make that happen, so that we can actually practice the artistry of law. And Chad,
we're talking about. I mean, it's kind of we're talking about going like the thing that's worked best for Dudley DeBosier is that we have this, like, if you were to come to one of our meetings and you're not uncomfortable, I'd be shocked, because the level at which we challenge each other, not fight,
not nasty.
Challenge, but
there's no
No one says
there's no ring.
you can't say
People
that,
step
but
up.
once or twice a month, we have a firm from somewhere in the country come sit in on our meetings, because we're kind of an open door firm. We're like, hey, come on in. You want to see what we do? There's no secrets. Just come on in.
Particularly with Zoom now, people can come.
People sit in.
Just sit in their desk and then I'd fly down here. We used to have people come down all the time. Now they can just Zoom in and watch.
And the way we argue issues, it's optional. But the way we argue issues, like, not want to say to make them uncomfortable, but we engage because that's the only way to find the best solution. And I'm fortunate that we've seen firms where that happens in a very toxic, destructive way. We're fortunate that we do that, and we enjoy the challenge. I mean, back to a debate team, right? Like, okay, let's find the best solution, not who's right, but what's right.
Yeah.
We made everybody read a book on that.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, no, because and Steve pushed that book as hard as anybody, but it was a book about candor, radical candor. But the radical candor wasn't just about telling somebody your feelings or your thoughts on what to do better, but it was a way to do it, but also recognize how to receive it. Because, dude, we all get defensive at times, right? But if you learn how to receive criticism and you know it's coming from a loving place, a place of caring, sure, it's a whole lot easier to receive and take, and you got to have the trust in each other to know that wherever they're coming from, they're not trying to to take you down, and we're trying to help each other. We're in the same spot, and that is a lot about having the right people on the bus.
Yeah, and there's a reading a lot of books and biographies and a lot of the top coaches. There's sort of a common element that they'll describe. How do you know when you have a great team? And the coaches, you can take John Wooden, you can take Nick Saban, like him or not, but other guys that have built some great teams, they say the same thing. And here's what they say. They say, I know I have a good team because we go through these 3 phases of standards and challenging each other. He goes, as the coach, say we're running sprints and I don't think someone's given their full effort. As the coach, that's my job. I got to say, hey, you can run faster, you can do better. He goes, that's the price of admission. You get a little bit better when your coaches and everyone on your leadership says, hey, you can run faster, you can give more. He goes, I know we have a good team when the players look at one another and go, you can do better and you could do more. And he goes, when the standard that we've set reaches that level, the ground level, where the players are calling each other out and having candid conversations about push more, do more, that's when I know we're going to have a good team. And I think it's the same way with us going, having those conversations going like, look, we could have done that better. We could have done that better. Not just among ourselves, but when you get 2 intake specialists saying, hey, look, that call could have gone better, or you could have been kinder to that client, or you could have done and pushing each other to do, but that's like, oh man, we got something. And
now that's
what we're shooting for.
But as James pointed out, as long as the person receiving it knows it's coming from love, it makes so much better. It's like no one gets angry, no one gets defensive, because we look at everything and we say, whatever the problem is, what did we do to cause this problem, or what are we doing to promote or tolerate this problem? And we don't look to the person and say, you're doing this, because we've told you 5 times. We look at it and go, should we have told them 7 times? Or should we have promoted them to do something different? We look at ourselves first, and then we go to them. And so that helps us with everybody. And every as we get further down the line, everybody understands that process, and which makes it really cool to work together, because everybody's like, they're not being mean to be mean. They just want us to all do a better job. And we're looking at each other because we want to work with people that care. Another great line of chat is people don't like to work with wingnuts.
Yeah, we say like, no,
people don't like to work with wingnuts.
People who are really, really great at what they do don't enjoy working with wingnuts. I mean, and I remember when we were hiring in the early stages, we're like, man, we're having trouble hiring great legal assistants. Like this is early, like early on, and just like we put out an ad and we kind of get this is like 12, 13 years ago. And we're like, we're watching it, and we hired a great legal assistant, and she wanted to quit after the first week. I said, what happened? I said, and she said, well, look, my first day on the job, so-and-so down the hall, her first words to me, like, who the blank are you? Yeah. That's how she greeted new hires.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to let you fill in the blank.
Yeah, I got it.
She was trying to protect her territory, right? She was like,
I said, well, hell, that's I guess that's our culture right now, but we got to get rid of that. So we had to get rid. I mean, that sounds silly, and you go, okay, well, that's common sense, but we had to address that by.
Well, and how are you to know that it's there until you bring someone in new and know that they feel their territory is being stomped on?
No, absolutely. And there's little things like, so you know, and the person that said that she cranked out work. Great at her job, just had a toxic attitude. And so we're like, all right, we got to let go. And
you don't just, one of the neat things is you don't get to let go at my office. I hate to do this let go thing, like we just let people go willy-nilly. One of our mantras here is you should never be surprised if you're let go here. I mean, unless you do something dramatic. I mean, you really shouldn't. I mean,
if you do something dramatic, you still should not be surprised.
Take a look at yourself and realize, well, what did I just do?
But nobody should ever come to work wondering, is my job in jeopardy today? If that has occurred, we have done a bad job as leaders. If we have not set an expectation level, have talked about it, get down and go, how can I help you achieve these levels? We've made a mistake. So when we're talking about getting rid of 20 people, I don't want that to go on to be the mantra. The mantra truly is our job is to help you to get to that level, right? I mean, what can we do to get you? You shouldn't be let go unless you know what is expected of you, that we've talked about it. We've given you the tools to do it. Hopefully we've hired somebody capable of doing it. We get rid of very few people now because
Almost none.
yeah, because we do a great job. We have a better chance to hire good people. Our intake department's special. Our training for what we do is wonderful, and we have people now working together to get them to where they should be. I don't want to walk away from this because we talked about getting rid of bad people. I mean, truly, right now, oh my gosh, the fan we have, the number of people we keep, it's a great place to work, and we love them. In the beginning, we had some work to do, but I certainly don't want somebody to walk away from this going, man, they get rid of a lot of people. Hopefully we do a great job of hiring.
You get like 6 emails in your inbox tomorrow morning.
That's right.
Hey, James, am I getting fired today? Is my job in jeopardy?
Like I say, if anybody in our law firm comes to work tomorrow morning and feels like their job's in jeopardy, then we failed again, because my goodness, we let people know they're doing a great job. And if somebody's doing a bad job, we don't just say, oh, they're doing a bad job, let's watch it for a few more weeks and then we go and fire them. We go to them and say, hey, you're not doing this up to Dudley DeBosier standards. Let's get with your team. Let's get this better. And if that goes on for a while, they know my job might be in jeopardy.
But Chad, talk about it. I mean, and I think this is important at every position, at every company. The fact that everybody, when they come into work, knows their scorecard. They know what they're supposed to achieve, what's expected of them, right? What is their job? What are the marks they've got to get to? In the very beginning, I'd go in with Chad, and I thought this was going to be an uncomfortable, difficult situation that we'd have to talk to somebody about. I'm not sure whether we can keep them or not, right? But if you lay out, here's where you are, here's the expectations, we've talked about it, you've got a scorecard, then how can we help you? How can we coach you up to get to that level? Then there's no longer the subjectivity of, well, he didn't like me. No, it's not he didn't like me. What am I supposed to achieve? How do we get you there?
Yeah, I mean, I think, consulting with a lot of firms, and then, it's so crazy because if we were to put it into sports concepts, you say, well, that would be insane. Like going, okay, we're going to go, we're going to show up at Tiger Stadium. We're going to erase all the lines. We're only going to tell you the score once a quarter, and not quarter, but every 3 months.
Right. Or some companies annual.
Yeah, annual.
You always said annual, but even then in the annual reviews, they're looking at your past 2 months.
Right. And we're going to tell you the rules as they come along. I don't know if that's out of bounds, or you can go into the stands, or if, you got to pass the end zone to score 7 points, or even if it's worth 7 points, and they expect people to be enthusiastic about playing this game. And I don't want to say game to belittle it, but saying like people are competitive, and no one likes to suck at what they do. Right. They want to show up and kick butt. But if you don't tell them the rules and tell them what the score is and give them the parameters of how we're going to play the game, which is your core values, they're kind of like showing up, wandering around, right?
Yeah.
And
am I doing a good job or not?
And if you've got a scorecard and you're working hard and you watch that scorecard improve, man, you're pretty doggone proud. You're excited about it. But if you don't have that scorecard of what's expected and we don't know what's happening, then you're showing up aimlessly, not doing if people appreciate it or don't. It also, they want to be coached. If they're not, you come in, we all have our strengths and our weaknesses. And I believe that if you want to work here and you're a great employee, you want to improve your weaknesses. The weaknesses, we're not here to fuss at you about them. We're here to go, heck, man, you want to be better. I want you to be better. How do we work to be better at that? And by the way, if you've got a scorecard, the people that are strong at that can teach the people that are weak at that section. And I like to think we do a better job of tracking not just cases, but the development of people than anybody else. And we work hard, I think, because of our education background, to say, hey, how do we put in a system to make everybody better at what they do?
Yeah, no, 100%. You have to be in the legal field, and even in my field within accounting, you have to be employee focused, because they're the ones interacting with the clients. They're the ones producing the work for the clients. And so, I mean, it's obvious, focus on your team, focus on intervals, not annual reviews or quarterly reviews. Hey, last week you did something bad. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. What happened? What can we do better? What can you do better? Et cetera, et cetera. And as we kind of start to wind down the show, I want to ask, y'all have been throughout this entire process team focused, which in turn means client focused. Mm-hmm. What are 3 lessons that each of y'all have kind of gathered along the way of owning and operating a law practice?
I'll say, look, first and foremost, keep learning. I mean, just always learning. I never assume that you know everything. The people that I've admired, they're always learning, no matter how successful they are. I think the second thing would be for entrepreneurs, find that thing that, that book, Good to Great, articulates it really well, saying, what do you love doing? What can you be great at? And it's got to make money. I mean, I understand that, and that sounds very transactional, but when those 3 things intersect, you lose yourself in whatever you're doing. And, we were talking about this day. I love what I do. We love what we do. And it's like, do you love the practice part of it? Do you love the competition part more than the reward part? Absolutely. Like, it's just fun doing what we do. And then I think the third thing that I would throw out there is go do that with people you love.
Oh, dude, you stole both of them.
That's my 3. So because that makes it fun. And, there's times where, especially as an entrepreneur, where you have these peaks and valleys and you're going, we used to joke like, will this work out? And maybe this will work out. And I think you got to enjoy the journey. I mean, it's all about the journey, and have fun along the way. And so do it with people that you love.
Yeah, we've had the luxury of speaking at high schools and whatnot. And I'll work through this program with the kids, and I start telling them, look, if you have a job working 40 hours a week, even today, you got to wake up, you got to get ready, you got to drive to work, you got to get to work, and then, at the end of the day, you got to go home, you got to unwind. And if you really did the math, what you would find out is half of your waking hours are at work. Mm-hmm. Half. And if you have a job that sucks, it's usually more than that. And then the time that you're away from work, all you're worried about is, crap, I got to go back to this job I hate, right? And so people make decisions of, man, I'm going to go do this job because I'm making a little bit extra. I'm making 5% extra, 10% extra. But it's sucking the life out of you. I mean, that to me, I'm blessed. And it's mostly because of my 2 partners. I get to go to a job that I love. And I don't ever stop and think, am I working this much? How am I getting paid per hour? Just never crosses my mind. It is what I love to do, and I'll just keep doing it. And I'll think about how it works out later. And Chad's good at telling me what I need to do. This is what you're good at, go do this. Because we made the decision that we're not going to build our firm based on each of our weaknesses. We're going to build it on our strengths. And we're going to go look at everybody and say, this is what you're good at, and this is what you need to do. We're not going to go around trying to concentrate on what people do poorly. That's silly, right? Mm-hmm. That's like giving your lineman the ball to run, right?
Yeah,
that's a terrible idea.
Doesn't make any sense.
Give it to the person that throws the ball the best. That'll be your quarterback. Give the person that's big and strong, he'll be your blocker, and that's what we've done. We've done that, and people here, I know I do, and I know these 2 guys love what we do. And that, you say the 3 things. That's the one thing I can tell you that when I wake up, I'm looking forward to going to work. I'm looking forward to the clients that I'm lucky enough to talk to, that we're lucky enough to represent. It's a cool feeling, and so it's fun. And I want to keep getting better at it. And we feel like we are, but there's a lot more room to improve.
Yeah. Look, the easy answer is, if you want to be good and happy, do something you love so that you wake up every day, do it and are excited to go to it. Do it with people that you enjoy being around, because you wake up every day and you're excited to do it. And then surround yourself with people that are great at what they do so that you wake up every day and you're excited to go do it with them. And we went to a conference that was Double Your Income. I don't remember how many years ago it was, but there's a guy named Vern Harnish who did this on Double Your Income, and went through all this process of what you have to do in order to make more money. And I vividly remember going around the room, and the second person was a good friend of ours from California, who the whole conference was like, how do you change your practice in order to make double income? But when it got to him, he kind of pointed out, he said, I'm older than these guys. I'm on my 3rd wife. I have a kid that doesn't talk to me. I've got 2 that I don't know very well. And he said, doubling my income isn't what important. If I had to change anything, because you want to know what you would change to double your income. He said, if I had to change anything, I would spend more time with my friends, with my family. I would do something that I loved. I would do it in a way that I cared about the people that I worked with, and I would not worry about doubling my income. I would worry about doing a good job and loving the people I'm around. I can't tell you how many stories of the older people came back and told us, because we had just started at that time because we went to it. We were going there to double your income, right?
We wanted to know the money.
Yeah, one of the lessons. Show me the money.
And quite frankly, the answer to it was always, don't worry about doubling your income. The older, wiser people were, do something you love with the people you love, do right by people, and it'll all work out. And quite frankly, we doubled our income quicker than ever by doing it, I believe, by the right way, by working with people, treating our clients right, treating our employees right. At the end of the day, I think if you do that, it'll all work out. And that, if I had to say something to anybody, don't worry about the money. Do something you love for people you love with people you love.
Absolutely.
It's easy for us because we're making money, so it's easy to say stuff like that. But the truth is that, God, man, the thought of, and I tell this to our employees, everybody, every team member,
Kids,
if you are driving to work going, I hate going to this place, and you don't walk in my office and tell me, I'm heartbroken because I don't want anybody to live that life, because we're blessed and we don't want to live that life. And so I'll mimic these guys are saying, man, do what you love and be happy about it. If not, man, go do something else. Particularly right now, goodness gracious, you can't go anywhere without somebody saying, we're hiring.
Yeah, the opportunity is boundless.
I mean, it's endless right now.
Yeah.
Right? There were times when you couldn't get a job, but now, goodness gracious, you can go do whatever you want to do.
I'll also tell you, and I don't want to get off of here, but very blessed if you have a family that supports you, that makes it easy for you to do the job you do, that steps along and goes along with it. And we're generally lucky to have that. So
Absolutely. So what is something y'all did as a kid you wished you could still do today?
Endless amounts of time with siblings.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
You got nothing to do other than, I don't know, go do some whatever.
Play stickball in the
Play
backyard.
stickball
Yeah.
or
A video game.
endless
Or
rounds of,
I mean, just anything.
of
that-
Madden football or whatever, not Madden, it was Tecmo Bowl back then, but like just unlimited free time with siblings.
I love it.
without constantly worried about what is at the office that you've got to go do.
Yeah, when you're knees deep in NFL fever, doesn't matter.
But I have a son that plays video games all the time, and he said, "Are you mad at me for doing it?" I said, "No, man, I'm jealous." And not that I have zero desire to go play a video game, but I'm like, man, just to not have to worry, right? That's cool
huge.
feeling.
Chad, that was interesting, because the three of us all do a very good job of keeping in touch and playing with our siblings now. It was a different kind of playing back than it is now. I have two brothers that are doctors. I'm clearly the black sheep of the family. But it's funny that family hit, because weird. I can't spend time with my grandparents. I used to spend a week every summer with them, and if I could go back, that'd be great. So very cool. But I do enjoy the sibling thing too. That's very cool.
Unlimited amounts of time, you're just hanging out, got nothing time to kill. Yeah.
Wake up on like a Saturday morning, got nothing to do.
Well, you say that. I've hung out with Chad's siblings and his family. I've been to Hawaii. I go to games. It's great. Steve has some unbelievable brothers and sisters that I enjoy hanging with, and I think my two brothers love hanging with these guys. Very neat that we all enjoy each other. And
His brothers are my brothers. So, yeah, we all
Love
hang out
that.
together.
I love that. So what is something y'all love about Baton Rouge?
You already said it, the people. I mean, when I got here, people asked me, you came here from Honolulu, Hawaii, like what's that all about? I said, well, the cultures are actually believe it or not, very similar. I mean, families is huge. Hospitality, huge. People are just kind, and Hawaii is somewhat of a small town, but people will give you the shirt off their back, and it's very similar here. I was embraced with open arms, and just people are just laid back and love life and have a good time, and that's what I love about Baton Rouge.
Yeah, I've had the luxury of picking juries in other jurisdictions, and I won't tell you the city, but I'll never forget going someplace, and I took public transportation for 2 days everywhere through the city, and I said hello, and I kept track of how many people I said hello to, and then I kept track of how many people said hello back, and it was, I forgot the exact number, but 800 or 900 people that I said hello to, and 6 people said hello back. And when I stood in front of the jury and I said, y'all don't know me, I'm from Louisiana. I said, let me tell you what I did. And I showed them a map of where I took the public transportation. They all went, oh, it's crazy. You went where? And I'm like, yeah, I went everywhere. And I said, this is what I did. And I asked them, I said, how many people said hello back? And everybody was like, 1, 2. They all knew the answer. And I was like, how is this even possible? And then you go to Louisiana, if you did the same thing, anywhere in Louisiana, if you did the same thing, it would be 70, 80% or higher.
At least.
That said hello back.
Yeah, at least 70-80%.
Yeah, I mean, it was, so I was shocked.
You might get a couple of dinner invitations.
That's right. Come on by.
Thanksgiving.
Hey, where are you from?
Yeah,
You start getting those questions.
That's right. Yeah. How's your mom and them?
Yeah.
I don't know your mom and them. They all ask that question, right?
Here we had jambalaya.
Come on in. Come to our tailgate, and it's just a different world. And so you see all these people in all these other areas. Look, when I'm in August in Louisiana, I'd rather be someplace else because it is so hot and humid, But you go to some of these other places and people from Louisiana move there, but they all come back. They all want to come back. And it's not because the weather's great, it's because the people are great. And it's wonderful to be able to go wherever you're going. If you get a flat tire, someone's going to help you versus, blow the horn at you.
Stop causing traffic.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
You say that, you wouldn't notice that until we started traveling. You just assume everybody is the way you are, but you travel, and just as simple as getting on an elevator over and over and over and saying, hello, ma'am. And the look of some people like, why are you talking to me? And it's a total different kind of mindset in a lot of places. You can start guessing where people are from based on the response simply in an elevator. And you say that tire changing thing. I've got more pictures of Steve out there changing somebody else's tire. He does it all the time. But it's a boater's mentality here more than anywhere I've been. If you've ever been on a boat, somebody's broken down, all wheels stop in order to help. And you see that whether it's somebody on the side of the road. We've seen the floods. I'm an Ancient Athletes. Those guys go out and help everybody all over the place. You hear about the Cajun Navy. I mean, that's not an accident. That's kind of who we are. And like nowhere else, we step up and we help each other without ever asking. So it's pretty awesome. The food's not bad. Love being a Tiger fan, man. It's great to be here with the camaraderie of the Tiger fans. You've always got somebody to got something to talk about with the people of Louisiana. But at the end of the day, it is, I call it a boater's mentality, but it's wonderful.
I think the food attracts people here.
Yeah.
The people convince them to stay.
Yeah. That's right.
So for the final question of the show, what can I do to help y'all?
Oh, look, thanks for having us on the show. Thanks for
Beyond that. Come on now. That's a blanket answer.
No, look, we always tell the highest compliment we can receive if someone refers us, someone we can help. That's it.
Yeah. It really is that simple. We truly believe that the clients we have, we're lucky enough to represent. And every single one. So that's, for us, somebody says, hey, my friend's been hurt. Can you help him? We're like, yes.
I don't know when this is going to be shown, but we
Next week.
we had a pretty bad hurricane here, and this is not how you can help me, but this is how we can help the people of Louisiana. If you have a question or you have a problem with your house and it's not being taken care of, we saw what happened to the people in Lake Charles, and we're there to try to answer your questions and help. We can't help everybody, but there are times where if you just need to be pointed to a resource, we have a resource page. And we're there to help the people right now. And
James, you're doing live webinars on answering questions and on Facebook.
We have on Facebook a live webinar. I can assure you, we didn't do this before, but we started not representing people. We started doing the live seminars, putting on the Facebook page because it's not something we do, but we wanted to help. And so we started laying out where can you find the help and what you can do. And at this time, I'd like to say we're here to help. For those that are bad enough, we started helping because we had clients going, I know y'all sent me the page, but I really need help. And we're helping some of them. But the point is right here, by the way, you're giving us an audience with people that right now are suffering and hurting. I'm from Houma. The people of Houma messed up the houses. I've been through Laplace. I've been in New Orleans. There's a lot of people that need help. If you've got questions, call us. We'll point you to resources to help you. Not necessarily here to represent you. Maybe we will if you really need it. But I'd rather point you in a position where you can help yourself and you don't need an attorney to get help. But thank you for giving us the opportunity to share that.
Absolutely. Thank you all so very much for taking time out of y'all's busy days to come and actually chat on the show. I greatly appreciate it, and I'm very excited to have y'all close out season 3 of the Patty G Show. Thank y'all so very much for that.
Thank you.
And thank you everybody
team,
else
man.
for the team, Flashbang, putting this on,
Guys are
Flyer,
great.
Government Taco. Thank you all so very much, whether you're listening, watching, tuning in, whatever method or platform you're consuming this. I really appreciate it. I know the guests do as well. And I want to thank y'all so very much for being some great listeners. And if you were looking for something to do to help us share the show, check out Dudley DeBosier, check out the team at Falaya Real Estate, check out the team at Flashbang, check out the team at Government Taco. They are all a part of the show, and they all make this happen and help Baton Rouge grow as a community. So as your host, Patty G, I'm signing off here, the Patty G Show, episode 104. Wow. Final episode of 2021, y'all. We're going to come back in 2022 and hit it harder than ever. Thank y'all so very much, and y'all have a good night.